The great news is that the voice has been defeated. Australians said no to dividing this country by race, and it wasn't even close. 61% to 39%. Like I said, thank God. What a disastrous failure, though, by Prime Minister Anthony Albanese, wasting nearly $400 million on a racist referendum that's just left Australians more divided than ever. But the bad news is that the damage still has not been done. It's not been finished, and the Prime Minister and the Yes campaign is just making it worse. They refuse to see this massive vote, nearly 2/3 of Australians, for what it really is. A vote against racism. They are now painting it instead as a vote for racism, or at least the vote by Australians supposedly so stupid that they believed lies. Now, these 2/3 of Australians are supposedly so dumb that they let their tiny minds get all confused by the wicked No campaign and the wicked media and the downright evil Opposition Leader Peter Dutton. Confused by the misinformation. Here's Anthony Albanese on Saturday night attacking the media.
But we've had, including in outlets represented in this room, discussions about a whole range of things that were nothing to do with what was on the ballot paper tonight. So for many people, it became an issue in which they were receiving a range of information.
No, we can't have other sources of information. Not once has Albanese admitted that the problem wasn't the media and it wasn't the opposition and it wasn't the so-called misinformation. The problem was the voice, his plan to give extra political rights for people of just one race. But Yes campaigners were in even more denial, as was the Greens leader particularly, looking for villains, blaming anyone but themselves.
We did all we could to ensure that the proposal was strong, but it is clear from the result that we were not able to reach you through that, and we were not able to reach you and cut through what has been the single largest misinformation campaign that this country has ever seen.
But we have seen a disgusting No campaign, a campaign that has been dishonest, that has lied to the Australian people.
One of the things that's crystal clear from the campaign itself is Peter Dutton is a master of misinformation, and it was a Trumpian campaign of misinformation that was based on fear and division.
ABC presenters also grabbed that excuse. The problem wasn't the voice, it was that misinformation. Here's ABC host Patricia Karvelis, who after the vote came in asked this disgraceful question of No campaign leader Warren Mundine.
There were many things that your campaign said that weren't true. Do you regret taking that approach?
I reject what you just said.
Now, these people are treating Australians as if they were idiots and dupes, and it's that exact arrogance and that contempt for Australians that helps to explain exactly why so many did vote against this voice. And the bullying did too. I mean, where you had white Yes campaigners even bullying the Aboriginal Warren Mundine at a polling station. Here were, I mean, the hypocrisy. Here were white people allegedly campaigning to give Aborigines more say, yet intimidating a black man casting a vote. Now, the other No campaign leader, superstar politician Jacinta Nampijinpa-Price, today said her family had even been physically attacked on Saturday.
And they were thrilled. They're absolutely thrilled. It was disappointing, though, that I've come to learn that during their interview on Sky, someone had thrown an egg at my father, and some people had at some point thrown paint at their home. So, you know, they're a target now. There's some pretty nasty individuals in Alice Springs who obviously don't like the outcome. So I guess my concern now and then is their safety.
Now, that bullying was so bad that many Australians didn't dare tell even the pollsters they planned to vote no. And that's why the no vote being so strong came as a shock to so many. I checked the final numbers of the 8 main pollsters, and the only one that got what looks like becoming the final result, yes, 39 to no 61, there was just one pollster that got that. Just one pollster overestimated the no vote, 6 underestimated it. And that's the fear of the Yes bullies right there. But while the bullying scared No supporters into shutting up, It also cost the Yes campaign votes. Australians don't like that kind of stuff. And now these Yes people who are blaming the media, they're blaming the voters, they're blaming racism, they're blaming misinformation. They should be asking themselves two questions. One, if Australians are racist, why did 2/3 of us say yes to the Voice a year ago? Were Australians racist then, when they liked the vibe of the Voice, or are they racist now after they've checked the fine print? And the other question is this: how could the Yes campaign actually lose an information battle when they held all the aces? Many media outlets, including the ABC, were on their side. So many universities and celebrities and every government in this country. 13 of the top 20 companies in this country said yes. Big W stores even played yes ads at their shoppers. The Yes 23 campaign, moreover, had maybe $50 million to spend. Nearly 3 times more than the No campaign. And you could see that in the last 2 weeks of the campaign. All those Yes ads on the TV. You had 2 in every break of my show. So the public did have the Yes campaign's information coming out of their ears. They heard all that, but they still voted no to the Voice for perfectly good reasons. Not because they were stupid or racist or misled. They just didn't like us to be divided by race under a constitution. It's really not hard to understand. So what now? Well, I would hope that everyone who's been so passionate about the Voice now devotes that same passion and the same money to actually fixing Aboriginal disadvantage on the ground, getting kids to school, getting adults to where there's work, ending terrible welfare ghettos out bush, promoting integration now. But it won't happen because for too many people, this referendum was really about them, not about Aborigines. It's about them showing they were nice. But there is something else. For Anthony Albanese, there's now going to be a price to pay. He's been exposed. Exposed as a leader who thinks with his heart, not with his head. A man who wouldn't listen, whose political judgment is terrible. Now, people advised them on The Voice, like Professor Greg Craven. Now, said they tried to warn Albanese that his referendum would fail. They tried to warn that The Voice was too extreme, but he wouldn't compromise, they said. Craven has written this brilliantly in Australian Today. He thought he could use this to destroy Peter Dutton. He didn't even think there'd be a no campaign at first. And he let Aboriginal radicals on his advisory committee bully him into not compromising. The opposition today tried to hold Albanese to account for making us go through this.
The $450 million referendum was against advice and resulted in our country being divided. Will the Prime Minister apologise to the Australian people?
But once again came the excuses, like, oh, well, no, of course this referendum was always going to struggle because, they always do. It's not Albanese's fault.
We know that referendums are hard. That's why only 8 of 45 have passed, none without bipartisan support.
Then why didn't Albanese get that support or just settle for whatever the opposition would agree to, like constitutional recognition without The Voice? And then this excuse that, look, Aboriginal activists, they made me do this, blame them.
This was a constitutional change asked for, requested, an invitation from Indigenous Australians.
A little memo to Anthony Albanese. The Prime Minister is the Prime Minister. He's not just a yes man or a rubber stamp for radicals on an advisory committee. He should have stood up to them. And now look at this shambles. Look at all this waste of money and time. Look at all the bitterness that's been created and left behind. This is a political disaster for this country. And one man carries the ultimate blame. The Prime Minister. How dare he have put us through this? Now, I think a man of honour would resign.